Hey everybody, I'm back. I know. Had a little, negotiations going on, with my little contract, reading this thing, Well, the contract was with myself. I had to take a little break. I had some things I had to do. And, backed by popular demand, we got part 7 of Y'all Ain't Gonna Believe What Happened to Russell. Now, the usual. Got some good snacks today. Let me show you what I got. Went to a little T to T yesterday. Came home with a little cheese and crackers. Got a little snack. I'm also drinking tea. I love my tea. Drink a lot of herbal teas. This is a little white oolong mixed with a little monkey pick oolong. It's a good tea. You should try it. Okay, enough of the snacks, and because it's been a while and we need to get back on track. So here we go. We're gonna get along and start, part 7, because we got to get caught up. Now, last we met, Russell had came home, with an attitude. So you may have to go back and, catch the reruns and, find out where you left off. So here we go. Now, by this time, Russell broke the going back and forth about who was going to get him something to eat by passing gas very loudly and then walking over to the corner of the living room where one of his little, mini dog pallets were placed and politely plopped down with his back turned to everyone, as if he was putting his little self on timeout, or just outright telling everybody to kiss his, he had little problems. Well, if that don't beat all, he mad, laughed Uncle Junior. That's all right, little man. You just sit there and relax, 'cause Daddy know you done been through a lot, sighed Uncle Junior. You got to be kidding me, said Charles. Mama, do he act like that with the dog all the time? Asked Stanley. Yes, he does, son, Anthea replied. Something wrong with your husband. You know that? Right, Mama? Laughed Charles, as well as everyone else in the room. Y'all can just cut out all that laughing or get out, yelled Uncle Junior. Anthea didn't like how Uncle Junior was just plain spoiling Russell, and particularly hated when she would have to go to the groomer and pick him up, and they would yell out, this is what they would say when Anthea come get him. Russell, your mom is here to get you, dear. She couldn't stand it at all. Saying that his mama coming to get him. She always thought it was a funny thing in that the longer a family pet was around its owner, the more traits the two would take on of one another. For instance, if Uncle Junior would walk past you and just simply pass gas, so would Russell. Now, if Russell would pee in Aunt Thea's flower bed, so would Uncle Junior. And so on. Russell was an aggravating little cuss. It seemed like the older he got, the more spoiled rotten he became, and the worse he got. Oh my goodness. Aunt Thea and Russell couldn't stand one another. They didn't get along before his abduction, and Aunt Thea told folk that she actually prayed to the good Lord above that Russell was not returned. I ain't give birth to that thing, she would say to anyone that would listen. I guess Russell, just like Uncle Junior, blamed Aunt Thea for not watching him closely because his hatred for her as well seemed to grow stronger. Aunt Thea had a trick for old Russell. Let me tell you what she would do. When Uncle Junior wasn't around, you see, Aunt Thea held on to the clothes that Russell came home in. You remember they put him on that onesie and had them little sandwich bags on his feet to replace his boots? So she held on to the clothes that Russell came home in after his abduction. And every time he got on her nerves, she'd pull out that little onesie and them plastic sandwich bags. And that seemed to get old Russell, make him, quote unquote, straighten up and fly right, as the old people used to say. Well, while all the fuss was going on about Russell, Aunt Thea went to the phone and called Detective Brownlee to inform him that Russell had indeed been returned. Uncle Junior overheard her on the phone and told her to call his friend's daughter, Melissa, you remember the girl that brought the camera team there, who worked for the news station, so that she could come back and do a follow-up story on the return of his beloved Russell. Aunt Thea reluctantly made that phone call. realizing that she, nor did anybody else in the family, want Uncle Junior to be seen on public television again. We're going to call it again. The next morning, the camera crew and Melissa arrived to interview Uncle Junior about the return of his beloved dog, Russell Montrose Jackson. Your boy had a middle name. This time, during the interview, Uncle Junior was cooler than a cucumber. And he and Russell, once again, was cleaner than the board of health. And casket ready he was. I'm telling you, the boy was just clean. All in all, the interview, it went extremely well. And Russell showed his rump just a little bit. Well, in a good way, at least. He was real nice to Melissa, snuggling up next to her and lying his little paw on her shoulder and laying across her lap. Oh, Russell gave a good show. You know, he was a performer. Anthea just stood off to the side, shaking her head. Just shaking her head. And, you know, she was just mad at Russell with just complete disgust. And didn't give one comment during the interview. The station got rave reviews that night. And over the next couple of weeks, Russell and Uncle Junior received all kinds of fan mail and gifts for little Russell. Uncle Junior and Russell were besides himself during that time. And they were just totally unbearable to be around, let truth be told. It was said that one day they were getting on Anthea's nerves so bad that she said she felt like chewing barbed wire for bubblegum. After a spell, things returned to normal for old Uncle Junior and Russell, as well as could be expected anyway. But I'm going to tell you something. That little ornery cuss Russell, he milked his abduction for a good 2 weeks. He did it for about a good 2 weeks. Walking around with an attitude, moving around slow. He chewed up way too many to count pairs of Anthea's. Here we go. Sunday go to meeting shoes. You know them church shoes she wore? Tore them up, just chewing up. He urinated on Uncle Junior's collard greens, mustard greens, and turnips. He was so proud of those greens every year. But you know what? Russell destroyed every last one of them. Destroyed Anthea's flower bed, every flower she laid her hands on. He just tore them up. And he had not been watching a Walker Texas Ranger in the den on the floor next to the recliner with Uncle Junior, but instead he just sat outside the door in the hallway and just listened. Just ornery, just being spoiled. One thing for sure though, Uncle Junior never requested that Russell go anywhere with Anthea again. Never again. He did not need her services for that. Needless to say, Uncle Junior and Anthea's vehicle, it was never recovered. And after some time, the entire incident was not mentioned again. But the dislike between Anthea and old Russell, it continued for years. Well, folks, let me get your boy. He done untied his scarf a little bit because, you know, we've been on, you know, little break for a couple of weeks. So, you know, he got us add to him. See. Now, he still got one of those little boots on that he came home with little sandwich bags. I don't know what he did with the rest of them. But let me say. Okay, folks, this is the end of old part 7 where y'all ain't going to believe what happened to Russell. So stay tuned. We're going to finish this thing up because this is going to be so interesting. We're going to finish up this thing with Russell. Say good night, Russell. You want some tea? Some tea, Russell? Okay. See y'all later.